E aí, galera, dia 2, parte 2.
And pushing into 50, that's a nice bullish move. It is not a single wick up or a liquidity vacuum. It's legitimate buying coming in, pullbacks, shaking people out, and getting into 50. In that case, I'm not just standing in front of the level. That's not what you want to do. I like the 50 level, I like the short up there, but I can't just stand in front of a moving freight train. Different setup. Even though we had a bit of FOMO from yesterday, I did not want to rush this. I even said that in the live show, don't chase it, don't chase it. And then when we had this initial pullback, you had 2 or 3 tests off of this level at 50, and then there was one big snapback right into 49.50 here. This is where we wanted the consolidation short. Should have been a bit more prepared. I didn't realize we had to pay for locates. I actually tried to get the short here at 80s, and by the time I paid for it, I missed the entry point. Eventually was able to catch it at 49.60 for a piece of the entry that we liked. I get some out at VWAP. At this particular point, I'm saying to myself, didn't really get everything we wanted. I didn't really get that short close to 50 like we were anticipating, but we got a piece. We'll scalp it to VWAP, and then we'll allow it to either bounce back and give us a re-entry point, or just simply flush into support. Thankfully enough, patience paid off for us. It was a relatively bullish name compared to the rest of the market. So when there was a small bounce in the market, we did come back in and get our 49.80. Once again, scalps them out to VWAP, and then hope. The one thing about getting a good trade on or picking key target levels is that this can happen to you and you miss the trade. Every now and then, this will happen to you and you get the fill. Simply luck, in either case. I put that bid in at 40, in front of that 47.50 area, much earlier. I'd been sitting there for probably about 5 minutes or so, and then when we plunged to the downside, we happened to get that lucky wick. Now, obviously, you're going to see it off that support level breakout just before the open, and that's where I anticipate getting some shares in. Where was that consolidation before the buying came in? That's where I expected maybe, now I'll throw a bit in there. If I was looking for longs in Coinbase, that's around where I'd be trying to defend it anyways, and we happened to catch the fill. But the most important thing about this trade wasn't the fact that, okay, how do we get in, how do we get out? We understood the level we liked. It was about having the patience to not just jump into it. And jumping in at 49.80, if you give it a 20 extra cents off that 50 level, it would have worked anyways. But just because it would have worked didn't mean that was the way to take this trade. The way I like this setup is to always allow it to start failing the level, have the seller start to take control of the stock, and then look to get into position. Sometimes you miss it. Sometimes you might not get everything else. You might not get that second fill. But I would rather be joining the party and joining the reversal as a trying to make the reversal. Too many times you can get run over doing that. So no FOMO, be patient. The market is going to give you opportunities. It's a matter of you waiting for them to come to you and then executing.
One of those days you had to kind of pick and choose your levels carefully and have a plan. Definitely going into the open this morning, there's a number of different areas of the market that we're moving around, though, in the pre-market. We'll touch on a few of those. Coming up here, that's a watch list, guys. Grab it every day.
Mais tranquilo foi, né?
Before we come on every single day at 8:30 Eastern. Absolutely free. Use that link in the window there. There's, as I said, a number of different ideas we can kind of touch on this afternoon. The market overall. Trying here, guys, to get back to the upside, get back to positive on the day, including some of the tech stocks. Hey, it's Friday afternoon, and we're positive. Hooray.
Hooray! We're positive. Oh, on the ES. Yeah, we're positive. Yeah, what's up, Brendan? Yeah, welcome back to the Power Hour show here. Power Hour is technically, I guess, an hour away. But, hey, man, we are just doing the heavy lifting right now. Sticky note all over the place. AMD. See, look at these shorts we have on right now. AMD, nice little short here at 73. Like, we're just short, out. So a good little short there on AMD. We're still holding that one. We averaged into our Amazon short as well, so we've got that now printing in the money a little bit. Lee Auto, we still have the same short from the morning, guys. Small position, but we still got it. We're trying to work that to the downside. 36.50, so that's in the money. What's up, Bradley Taylor? Thank you for those nice words. We are killing the game right now, and I mean, whatever. We're just gonna keep doing it. Sometimes trading's lucky, right? I mean, Neo right here. Look, I mean, hello. Like, this trade for me, we didn't even get our full trade here. We only got half of what we wanted. But still, good amount of shares there we took on NIO. Look at this, wait for the pop, bang, right back in right there. So, I mean, sometimes you get lucky to get fills, but hey, you got to be sitting there to get them. That's a 21. You can see it right there on board, 21.25 fill, out. And then we still have one long on the board, and it's AAPL. Look at these trades today. Long down here, 136, bang, L 137.50. This one was bad. Out there, hurt. That would hurt. In again. Long again right now. I'm trying to take this out. Should have got out there at the top, but I want to hold something long. So Apple's been a good runner for us today as well. So that's basically all of my positions now. The 3 A's, Apple, AMD, Amazon, Li Auto, and Neo. So I feel like I've got the A's, and then I've got the Chinese EVs. Other than that, man, we're sit back, relax, not sipping cognac yet. But I have an update. My parents took my kids.
Well, you're going to say your parents took the cognac.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I might have to have some cognac. So that's good, man.
You're laughing today, then.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to do now is try to find out some patios, like go sit on there, and enjoy life in lovely Toronto, Ontario. We just took a piece out there on Amazon. That just came back in again. So yeah, here we go again, man. BlockFi, just news here, so Brendan doesn't have to come out here. Says it will be bought by FTX. BlockFi agreed to an option to be acquired by crypto exchange FTX for up to $240 million. So Sam Bankman-Fried coming to the rescue of this whole crypto market. I was kind of saying this jokingly. And buying these exchanges on pennies on the dollar. Brendan had something yesterday about BlockFi. The last round was raised at $4 billion? Four B's. And yeah, so imagine being that venture capitalist there that put money into BlockFi or some organization or whoever it was at $4 billion, and you are now getting bought out for $240 million, the whole company. Oops. So my count now looking a little bit better. So that's good.
You're having a bad day.
Yeah, I don't have minus 99% on the books yet, but yeah, BlockFi, congratulations to anybody that bought lower than that last round. But yeah, right now that looks like that might be done. Brendan will come with a little more information. I can't show you anything because there's no stuff.
Yeah, it's not public, so otherwise you can't really do much there. But quickly here, I'll go over maybe some of the positions. I do have an NVIDIA short. I am still long mulling in front of $1, and I probably will be till the close because it's not doing a heck of a lot, and we'll get the Coupang, which looks like it could take out the top, that 15, a big level on Coupang. But Endo here, ENDP, got to this 60-cent level, pretty much as I'm sitting back down. I hadn't paid for locations, fortunately, but I just did now. they get some shorts because those ran double top at 80. They did have the news like the federal jury ruled in the company's favor with regards to the antitrust trial, the Opana antitrust trial. But the lower high here at 60, I'm just playing off of this. So you have a huge parabolic move to the upside. We're stalling and consolidating off of the 60 level. You even have a wick top off to 60. So I'm short here at 59, risking a penny and a half, 52 cents or so. And then just looking to see if we can pull back 55 and then 52, 53. Something along those lines for Endo. If there's one thing that I've been sitting in at least a little bit concerned about, I don't know if we'll talk about Coupang, so I'll get this one out of the way. It's been a good short off 15, but this stock seems like it's destined for the $15 breakout. So I did reload it once here at about 85, and then we'll see if we can actually get this bad boy to come back to the downside. Coupang's been incredibly strong today, so kudos to Brennan for bringing that one to our attention this morning. Not every day it's worthwhile looking at Coupang, but maybe one of the strongest names in the market.
That is Coupon. I'm all about
Coupang. Sorry, my bad.
No, you said it right.
But one of the strongest things that isn't a small cap or that isn't like a penny stock, Coupang having a great and fantastic day. And really, I almost want to check to see what Brennan brought to our attention because I'm pretty sure, you could have had this long in the first 5%. And it's not usually on my pull for it, but that's not much of an excuse because this was given to us.
Coupang gets an upgrade. Gotta talk about it, right? Apple, guys, we were talking about in the pre-market this morning on this note. JP Morgan liking Apple yet again. About the third or fourth time in a couple of weeks here. JP Morgan out talking very nicely about Apple, saying they don't really know what all the fuss is about and Apple will be fine, and there's 40% to go to the upside for Apple, if not more.
Samesies. I believe that too. I mean, I believe Apple has a lot of upside potential to it. I mean, that's why I said Samesies. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, there's only long ticks here on my account, and without going into the report there on what Apple, Prad's upset because there's some pizza got taken, and he thought he was gonna have some pizza there, so he's all
They didn't leave any?
hoping, or no, they didn't leave any. These guys are ruthless, boy, on that one. So Prad, I told him go get super chicken, send the bill over here. Now he's pitching no because okay. All right, so there's Apple right here. All right, so let's just look at the chart quickly on AAPL. This is the daily chart. Look, whatever you think about Apple, it's been pretty consistent down here. I mean, although the last little while has dipped down, we made that $3 trillion company up here at 180, and then after that, it's kind of been straight to the downside. But when I mean straight, there are a lot of up and downs here. So Apple, when you see charts like this, like people want to buy Apple, they want to buy it. I mean, you can see this is a nasty drop here for sure, from 150 all the way down to 132 in about 5 days. That's nasty. But, I mean, it keeps getting bought up every single time the market tries to bounce. Apple's there trying to bounce as well. Today you're down 0.23 on the market. Apple's upside 0.55. So I feel like they want to buy this name, and I like an Apple here. So, hey, I can't disagree. Hence the Samesies comment. I think we go upside from here on Apple, and buy any dips on this. I believe it was July 18th. Let me just look that up for you guys quickly right here. When they report, I think that's going to be a very, very telling tale here. It says somewhere here. Earnings April 28th. Okay, so I don't know if it shows the next one on here, but anyways, I think it's July 18th. I'll find a better website then. I'll fix this for that. But once they report, I think then you'll be able to see exactly what they're talking about. That's the guide that I'm really interested in. I'm not worried about them making money. Obviously Apple will make money, and they probably will sell just as many phones as they said they would, so on and so forth. So it's about the guide. What are we talking about in China? What's the supply chain looking like? So for me, Apple's along, and I mean, remember how we trade here on the show can be vastly different than our opinion on the stock because we have to be flat at the end of every single day, right? So on that note, we've been going long on Apple today. Whenever we get reports like that, unfortunately, I got dipped out there when we took down 136. That kind of sucked. But, nice upside moves from now, up in the money now, $1 on this one. We can't forget to say happy Canada Day to everybody out there. I tried to go get a coffee at Tim Hortons, which is like attached to our building, and they're closed. So the team, I didn't even know when I went out closed. But yeah, it sucks. It's just like Canadian coffee, like it should be open.
Probably just that location.
But no, that's all good. Everyone deserves a break. So
I'm trying to figure out how you don't have this wick on your Apple shirt plate. I guess you cleaned it up.
I do. I have a different. You didn't download the new version, man. I mean, I'm telling you to do that.
Oh, come on. Okay, anyway, that is the reason. As far as Apple goes, I'm not going to say anything too different about it, except for the simple fact that there is a resistance level I like on Apple up here. I think we talked about it this morning. It never really came into play other than that one little push at the open, and you might have noticed I was sort of looking at something else that I thought was a better opportunity at the time in Coinbase, but you're still going to get a shot at this 138, it looks like. And the key thing for me is that 3,800 on the futures that we've been eyeballing. So as long as, if we're breaking out from there and Apple isn't going through these highs, then I'd be very skeptical of the market breaking through that 3,800 and actually sustaining a bit above. Yesterday in the afternoon, we got the 3802 on the ES and then absolutely flushed. So if we get up there again, looking like we're failing the break, it might be because Apple is not going to go through it. And that happens. You just have to understand the momentum on the overall market is not following through without Apple, without Tesla, without Microsoft, and a couple of the others. So it was highlight to that resistance. It doesn't mean it can't get there, but ES is not really following through without good old Apple.
Just quickly here, I got to update something because doing some trades now. New trade alert on AMD, so we just got shorter there. And I don't want to give this one too far. If you guys can see, if I can zoom in a little bit here, I'm debating this right here, 73.75. So I'm putting in the stop right now. If we break above that, then we're going to get out of AMD, and that's what that is. So right now I'm just setting out the trade, putting out, making sure I have the right orders there. But we're re-engaging in the short, all the way down. We just took a bid out there at 73.04, and then right before we went over there, when we came back to me, and I was talking about AMD, we took another 15 bid. So good for us. AMD's not been a great stock. You can see we got stopped out there on our short, but then re-engaged it. These last ones have been really good to the downside, but we did get hit. We were short, and then we got out when we broke 73.50 live on the show. We should not have done that. I actually forgot that we had a trade out there, which is why we re-engaged short up until 74, but we're going to be in this one again up till 73.75. So, the next thing is going to be FU, but there it is, Brennan. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just the market's starting to go upside there, and we want to make sure that we are short AMD there. And then just because we just talked about Apple right now back to its day high. Like, we should probably get this out, man. 137.74, $1 in the money on Apple. All right, forget it. Let's hold it. And the reason why is because we're short AMD. If the market does rip up, at least let's hold some Apple there. Short Neo, short Lee as well. So some nice trades happening for us here. Short Lee Auto right there at 37.40, man. You're in the money $1 on that one. But let's go talk about Micron.
Getting pretty close here for positive territory for the NASDAQ. Just reading more on this FTX BlockFi thing. It also includes a $400 million credit line as well that FTX is going to provide to BlockFi going forward. Yeah, Micron trying to go as well back through some of the initial highs that we put in the morning. Still 3% downside though. It was the forecast that was not good for Micron.
That's an understatement. Obviously, the forecast was ugly. The guide was like 20% lower. And we talked about Micron being more cyclical, so therefore recession concerns are going to weigh on them a little bit more than some of the other names in the space. And that ends up being the way that it went down here, but even more so than I would have anticipated. We like the short on Micron this morning. However, remembering what happened in Nike is probably the reason. Like, I was short in the pre-market in front of that 53 level. We took some more right here when it spiked up to 53.50, right around our resistance area for our stops. And then when it rejected, we took a little bit more in. But I said to myself, if it takes out the high at the open, I'm just going to get out and not have a Nike situation and then try and play it after it tries to break out. And it ends up being stopped out. It fails the high here at 54. But what we do is jump back into the trade. Once it fails through 54, takes out that pre-market top, fails at the next even area, we then start shorting it again, 53.40s, 53.70s in front of that 54, and then it flushes. I end up covering it. I get trailed out here at 52.25 when it showed some strength at the pre-market low. And that was just a simple case of, the chip names were weak. I was watching, NVIDIA and AMD were going gangbusters to the downside here. And Micron, probably because it already gapped so much and it's not as volatile a stock, was checking up. So we didn't get out and gave up an extra $1. But speaking of that extra strength, this is what I mean. It's actually all the way back to these tops. So as we grind towards 54, that's that level this morning. Now I'm likely, I know Coupang's coming as well, but sometimes you get these trades 50, 53, 90, something along those lines, maybe 92, 93, something really tight. If we get a big push up, I mean, we're not breaking through that 3,800, so I might not like it at all, to be honest with you. If we get up there and start showing any kind of rejection off these highs, I'll look at that 54. But what a huge reversal for Micron. Just in terms of what it's done, it's still down 3% on the day. Just in terms of what it's done here. And just because we're talking about chips, yep, I had NVIDIA just there. NVIDIA was downward trend, much weaker stock. I was shorting the curl, looking like it was, for all intents and purposes, about to take out those lows. But no loss, man. 3,800 goes, break even stop on this. Tighten the stop after it broke the low of the day. I would have given it a little bit more, but once we broke the low, it tightened up the stop. It looks like we are through that 3,800 level. So these longs going to start to work, I suppose.
Oh man, that sucked. I had to get back in. So you're going to see a different price for me now on AMD. I actually was just writing it in the chat there. Because this move is getting, we just got positive. You're well extended here. I still want to be short AMD, but I had an out still at that 75. So I didn't mean to get out, but we'll take it back here at 81, almost right away. We got stopped out there, but I forgot to cancel. I had two orders there. Stupid me, I forgot to cancel one of them, so we did get out. Look, I mean, maybe I wish I didn't re-short, but we are short now 73.80 here on this name. So watch out here for AMD. I'm short against this 74 right there, 74 area. That's what I want to be short against. That's my fault there. I did get out at 74.75, so that was a hit on that last little bit there, right? But again, AMD, I just maybe this is turning. So if it does, man, that 74 break, we'll have to get out of that one. And then just an update there as well. Li Auto did start to go back up to the upside there and took out that 50 period. But for me, Li Auto right there, if we take out 70, then we're going to get out just to make sure that we capture that 70 cents. So was $1 in the money, but right now AMD is really the most concern for me. We'll take one more area short here, and we're getting ready to be sort of loaded up here. It's been a good day for us. We will give some back, obviously, here if this doesn't hit out for us. But AMD into that 74 area right there. We'll just keep shorting it. We did get out a mistake on that last. That's just the last reload there at 50, out at 75, 25 cents worth of a hit. So we need to get this 80 back down to 50 to make money, which is right where the 50 period is. So I like that. I think for a risk to reward, this is now worth it. Short here at 80, giving it a little bit higher. We'll get another piece in if it goes like 95, and then we'll watch out for that 74, 74.20 or so area on the top. But right now, yep, we're back into that short on AMD. But Apple's still working, man. Apple's taking out the highs. Apple's right back to day's high now, 138. So you want to talk about a strong name, talk about Apple. Don't talk about Bruno.
Not yet, anyways. The market, guys, also S&P, anyways, trying to get back to day highs. 0.5% now back to the upside for the ES. I was just watching Meta here as well. It was struggling a little bit more, just as Sean was saying that Apple back to day highs. Meta here can't even clear this last little pivot, I guess, on the intraday time frame. After we got that note yesterday suggesting Mr. Zuckerberg is a little bit concerned about what is to come in the rest of the year.
That is my number one stock today. So look at these buys we have down here on Meta, man. Look at this respecting that 155. This was during the first show. Boom, boom, boom. Our best out right there, right at VWAP 157. So $1.50. Obviously, as we touch 159, we wish we were still in it. But then we had the convergence here of VWAP and at the time VWAP and the 50 period. And then as it broke down, we were like, oh god, we got to get out, which looked like a decent out as it goes all the way back in there. But as you can see here, yeah, it didn't last for a very long time. So we're going to wait to see now what happens here with this. Hopefully a nice little upside move comes through for us. But, we got out on Meta, and now it's starting to go back upside. I like this name. You're still down that 1.62%, so obviously that's not great. But, hey, I like Meta, and I think it works in this environment. So I'm going to be here watching it. And, I don't want to short this top. But if we can come back here to like 157.50, something like that, then I believe we can buy Meta. It's super strong. It's my number one stock yesterday. It's number one stock again today. So let's just keep on watching Meta here. And again, early troubles just kept on tanking, right? That got us in a little bit of trouble, but we were able to buy the bottoms and then took it right back upside. So although there was a little bit of a roller coaster ride today, it turns out to be awesome. So Meta, I definitely like this name. good trade for me here on META. But I'm a little bit distracted. Looks like Amazon's going to take out 109, which is fine. We got a piece out there. We are making sure that we have an out for Amazon on that 109 break. So we were going to look at that and pass it off over to Neil because Amazon and AMD both going upside.
For Meta, I didn't really have anything that I loved. I mean, that 158 level, it felt a little bit loose. I wanted to see it hold 160. That never happened. That could be, like 160, actually, I'm looking at it now. I feel like if we don't take out the top of the futures and we see 160, I think I'd be shorting Meta at that price. But I don't know if we can even get there, to be honest with you. But I just wanted to quickly update ENGP before we move on to the Chinese stocks there. So we did take the short in front. I always want to let you guys know what happened. I mean, I told you, I'm going to short it and have my stop at 60. So, I mean, in and out, obviously. But I did bungle the reversal. Because once you take this level out, usually I want to try the consolidation long for more upside, right? So we end up getting this wick top, but I keystroke in above 60, actually at like 61. When I get some shares at 58, I still have an overall 60 price. Doesn't seem like much, but it's the difference like between long at like 58.8 and 60 even. Percentage-wise ends up mattering, right? So you want to be really, really careful when you're executing on these. When you're putting in different price shades to the 10th of a cent, it's really easy to make a keystroke error as opposed to some other stocks. So I'll give this back to 57. And the reason I think it has some room to go, you give it a few extra pennies, is if we hold this breakout and it can actually hold this consolidation on this break, then there's room up to 66 to 70 on a conservative level. So you're talking about a good 4 or 5%. And that's why I want to give the long a little bit more space. But ENDP, maybe that has a chance to go. It did clear through what I think would be running some stops there at that 60 level, but it hasn't followed through yet. Just a lot of battling going on in this 3 cent.
Volume as well on that thing today. It's amazing. EV names back at play as well this morning. We were talking about delivery numbers. First day of the month, that means China EV stocks out with delivery numbers. Here we go. 34,422 for XPeng. 14.4% or 25,000 for NIO. It was Li Auto up 63%. This 34 for XPeng was a double. So 63% for Li Auto, 28,687. So nice numbers, record numbers, in fact, again, right across the board for these guys.
Both XPeng and I had a different take for Li Auto that ended up being, I guess I should have been more aggressive. But XPeng and Neo, I want the pop and fade trade, which is simply you gap up, you've been running to the upside, you get the delivery numbers, and if it doesn't, you usually say if it doesn't take the low, there's only one place to go. Well, if it doesn't take out the high, then it should reject. I have nothing but lines for that. So in the case of XPeng, it even had that $33 level. When I came and sat down, I had to choose between the three. I just simply looked at the gap up setup for the retracement, and I looked at this 33 level on XPeng, and it was clear as day. You have a very clean resistance level that has already been rejected on the breakout. Turn around at 35, and then that's what you get the short in front of if it does a pop. So it pops into 33, it flushes. The mistake was getting out at 31, and the only reason I get out at 31, the market was pretty strong at that point. It kind of felt like we were showing some signs of strength. At that point, I was looking at other stocks where I was shorting tops, and this is looking like it was going to hold at 31, so we do end up covering it. I did also take Neo, but that was more of a scalp trade. Like I shorted Neo and then got a scalp trade, whereas I held on to XPeng. And XPeng braced $30 here. Congrats if you held on to this one for the long haul. Even with the market booming, that's the thing. Like the market is making a significant bounce. That's how weak these are. But remember, this is a sell the news type situation. Each of these stocks had been on a bit of a run. Look at it reject that 200 period. That's the other thing as well. Li Auto was rejecting the $40 level, but all these nice fades to be had across the board. You could have had any one of those three, and it would have worked out for you.
I'll take the congrats right there. Let's hit the congrats there because, thanks. Because Lee, we held on to. So, congrats to anybody that did that as well. Li Auto, obviously down now in the money, about 70 cents. We are getting ready to get taken out here at 70 if it does break there. Looks like we're trying to do that, but I just wanted to trade what I thought would be the weakest name today. So Li Auto's down 4%, Neo's down 2%, and XPeng is down, let's see. Yeah. 6%. So XPEP would have been the weakest name to trade today for sure on that one. But you can see on the daily, look at this, a few days in a row now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all to the downside there. But we'll look at Li Auto as, okay, here it is, right back going to break the same thing. Li Auto, not as much of a direct move down as XPEP, so probably maybe should have looked at XPEP a little more than Li Auto, but at the same time, nice move down in here. If it does break that shelf, then we're going to get out of here. I feel like I've already said this. There's something up with this. I mean, straight move to the upside here from $24 all the way up to 42 in a straight line. A little bit of stop and go here at 30, which doesn't surprise me. And the same thing at 40. So I feel like the next stop down is going to be $30 for this name. So if you do like XPEV or Lee or any of these names, Neo, I still think there's another leg down. And it could come by the way of news or anything like that. So we'll see what happens here. But again, another delivery day, and all three of the Chinese names are down despite having good deliveries. So take that for what it's worth. We'll just see where we go. But I'm a little skeptical of all of these Chinese auto plays because, like, how are they working so well? I know that they're pumping. Look, I've seen this on the chat before. Like, I know China's pumping money into their economy, and it's so great and everything like that. I just feel like, you know, this does seem a little bit too far too fast for some of these names. So I question why that move happened. So for me, I'll be short the auto here today, and I am short the auto. So let's see where it goes from here.
This is a chart, guys, of the 10-year today. Well, this is actually the entire week, but I'll focus on what happened today. This is the low. We got down to 2.78 on the 10-year. Early on today, we're bouncing a little bit back to 2.9. Anyways, this thing has done nothing but go straight down all week long. Frank Caberna from the small exchange coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, going to give us his take on why this happened, the correlation between the 2 and the 10-year this week, and why he thinks that could be the best trade coming up next week, the 2 and the 10-year, the relationship between the two. So, Frank, coming up, guys, in a few minutes.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear tank. Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank. Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows where that's from. Watch that movie if you get a chance. Old school, of course. Good movie on that. Streaking. Yeah, exactly. Don't go streaking after getting it's KFC. Yeah, in that movie, I believe. I was gonna say, hopefully, got some Brad out there after he gets his super chicken.
Can't believe they eat all the pizza on him. Oh, so someone was asking about LYT, and I had mentioned in the chat at the time it was at VWAP. LYT pulled back VWAP. No, not anymore. Now it's broken. It just broke $6 a couple of seconds ago. For 575. When it made the consolidation at 620, that was the two successful longs I had were 625 and 7. I'll get into this nonsense in a bit. That's one down stock. But when it made that break, it had a consolidation here and a dip at the 575 that was supported. So in this vacuum, for it to have a chance, it's got to be here or it's got to be $5. Now, it's been great for breakout trades. 630 gave you the 7, 7 gave you straight to 750, the second time 7 gave you nothing, like 15 minutes. But this morning, I was in this one when it was early in the move and trying to break out. I was sort of working it and then scalping off this like little bull flag and scalping some out for a little bit of profit and then working back into it with what I thought would be a $5 stop. I actually didn't put a $5 stop in, and then this was right at 11 o'clock after the morning show was done. You can imagine, I want to get up, I want to go to the can. I did so, my stop went off, and it never broke $5. And I'm pretty sure he even said that. I'm like, yeah, $5 stop here. Give this one some room, because I thought there would be room to go to $7. I get stopped out, I come back in. I'm kind of tilted. I probably should have just jumped right back into the trade at 540. I don't have a good reason for not doing so, but it happens all the time. And then I said in the chat, before you get up from your station, always double check your orders and double check all of your stuff just to be sure. It's a good little habit to get into. But 575 for now seems like it's holding on LYT, although that big of a reversal, especially when 7 was such a gigantic level, and considering where this has sort of come from, you know, it might be done for the day, especially when you have that big of a reversal. This is a name that's had a very healthy bounce already off of those lows, and you can tell under a heck of a lot of pressure. I mean, what an unbelievable short that was a couple of days ago, if you could have had it. So LYT, you probably won't see me on the long unless it gets back above you.
LYT, you know me. Okay, look, just a quick update here on AMD. Like, I don't even know what to do anymore with this stock. Like, it doesn't want to go down. The futures are starting to go up a little bit here. So I am a little bit nervous about this position. So Okay, I was gonna say, so I do have a 77 bid for like 2% of my position. I have a 75 bid for another 2%, but then down here at VWAP at set, well, that's a, shoot. VWAP is now 72. Oh, that sucks. I'm down here at 70 with a little bit more of a position to get out. So hopefully we can crank a little bit lower now. But now that I see where VWAP is, man, I don't know. We just got a 75 bid there. It seems like we're definitely wrong on this name. I mean, and I'm fine to say that. You know, I don't think we're wrong. I mean, I don't think we're wrong. I just don't think. At the top. Yeah, I know. That's what someone said. Micron is at the top of the day. So I am very, very aware of all this, which is why I'm trying to scalp these out. Like, we're only short at 83 here. Like, it sucks to take, like, our average price is 83. So it sucks to take a 75. But, like, honestly, it's not moving. It could be a good sign, though, that it's not moving. Like, I don't think it's necessarily bad that we're sitting here waiting to see what happens with AMD. I think it can go to the downside. But at the same time, it's holding up right now with Micron starting to go back up to the upside. Let's check out on it.
I just got in Micron.
Yeah, and I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind the shorts here. I feel like the short is fine. It's just, I don't know. I mean, look at Nvidia here on the 1 minute. It's same thing. It's still cruising near these highs again. But, you know, we're all dipping and diving here a little bit, just like Dodgeball, another great movie if you want to watch that. Watch out for the flying hammers coming at you. But 146.05 there, one of those highs for Nvidia. So I guess we're all just going to break at the same time. You know, now those outs don't look so bad after all, right? So let's wait to see, but it looks like it is going to take out that top now of $74. Nvidia, AMD, we saw that. That's why I wanted to sort of come back to you right away quickly and just say that it doesn't look like it wants to drop down in there. So that's going to be a mistake. Not a mistake, but just a problem there, as it doesn't look like it's going to work out for me here on the AMD shorts.
Ah, well. That's like, Dodgeball is a great movie, by the way.
Yes.
And it's older out there. And someone in the chat was like, that's old school calling it the can. When I said I had to get up to go to the can,
Yes.
it's like, is it old school? What else are you calling it? We're not British. I don't call it the loo. No one's calling it the toilet. The John, that's older than that. So the crapper, but that's also old. I don't know. You guys tell me. Sometimes, like, I'm an old man. I don't think I'm that old, but the can. What else do you call it? The loo, whatever. I don't know. You caught me off guard with that one. But I am in Micron. That's why I sort of mentioned Micron at the high. We said we short in front of 54, so I'll take the shot. Kupang is kind of like annoying here. It's like, just break the level already. Like, you know you want to go through 15, so why put us through all of this? It just hangs out. Like, the first time it went to 15, it's like, wick top, bam, we're back to VWAP in like 15 minutes. This time, we're just hanging out here at the high for like, this consolidation's been like an hour long for the final 10 to 15 cents of it, which is like, it's like a little water torture there through to 15. So it feels like it's going to break. I put this stop in like an hour ago on Kupang, so we'll see what happens. I mean, if it breaks, it breaks. I don't favor it for the reversal, chasing highs up here. I suppose it looks okay, but I'd much rather just sort of stay away from this. As slow as this is grinding and the volume coming down, it feels like it's a bit of a trap if I were to get into that long. So I'm staying away from it. Not going to be loving that one at all. AMD, like you were saying, it feels like these semis are all going to take some pops at the same time. But I wanted to go over to another EV name here because we talked about every EV name except for the best one, and that's Tesla. So I was not watching Tesla. You saw those crazy wicks that I had on Apple because I didn't clean up my chart. Well, that doesn't look fake. So either way, Tesla has just put in a pretty convincing bounce off 666, which, if you've been following along, has been a pretty decent level on Tesla every now and then. And it looks like this is also grinding higher, but below VWAP, holding 675. And I'm watching as the futures go through the highs of 3,800 and test toward the morning high. So if you want to get through that morning high, you have yet another name which is holding it down. And if we reverse, you've got a relatively weak name in Tesla, which is just now going green. It's battling green at the 645-ish level. So I just want to make us aware of that. We shouldn't only be looking at the Chinese EV names when talking about the EV space. Tesla was relatively. I'm excited to hear what Frank has to say there about the 10-year and stuff. Because right now the NASDAQ is trying to get back to its sort of pre-market high there right before we went live with you guys here today. No, sorry, that's during the market. I was looking at the time, it was 9:04, but
Chicago. So now we're back. But there you go, 11,600 right now. That's a level that we're looking at for the NASDAQ. And if I can zoom in a little bit more on, oops, there it is on the chart. You can see we are coming into that level one more time up here. So let's see if we can take that out right now. But yeah, I'm interested in that because as you've seen the 10-year there pull back. I mean, we were at huge highs not too long ago. And I remember showing it to you on the station there where we were above 3. So it's interesting now to be back down below that 3, so or around it. So we're going to hear from Frank on that one. But you know, with that being said, where's my chart now? There it is. There's the Nasdaq. Come over here. I got to be able to watch the Nasdaq, right, or else I'm not trading properly. Look at how high, how extended we are here versus the 50 period. So please call this one more time. I just had this up for you. But this is now like probably the largest we've been here on the 50 period as we go. So watch out here for the NASDAQ, possibly a pullback, but I'm feeling like if we pull back maybe only to 11,550, we are still in that AMD short, and that's really a big position for me. We are $1.70 in the money on the long for Apple. So here's our Apple trade. As you can see, this one cruising, man. We're long Apple right here, 136.60. It's now into the money, $1.60 on Apple, but Li Auto short, Neo short, AMD short, Apple long, as we've queued up a couple times here. And like I just mentioned, I'm excited to hear what's going on in this next guest. You guys know him. It's Frank and it's Brendan. Let's go.
All right, back again. Yeah, Frank Caberna, Director of Product Content and Creative over at the Small Exchange in Chicago, back with us on a Friday to wrap up a wild week. Frank, great to see you as always. Wild week, not only that, but I mean, the first half is behind us. This latest quarter is behind us. I mean, the month of June is behind us. Pretty negative right across the board. I just actually showed on the show there the chart of the 10-year for this week. Pretty ugly. I mean, we had just a washout this morning or earlier on today. We are getting a bit of a bounce back here, but you wanted to start things off here with a little bit of a look at these rates. I mean, to be expected, I guess, coming off of the Fed speeches that we had not only last week but this week again. What is the deal here? Are we trying to hold, or is this something that we should continue to look for more downside action?
Yeah, I think rates are going to be the key here, Brendan. They have been the key to a lot of the stock activity, metals activity, everything across the board for the first half of the year. And I think it's going to be the case again as we enter the second half of the year. And as my boys just made a point there of saying, interesting to see rates falling and stocks not gathering so much steam to the upside. I think that could kick in here at some point, either into the close today or early next week, that if rates continue to fall, some of this downside that we saw in stocks correlating to the upside in rates to start the year could finally jump a little bit of a rally into the NASDAQ and some of those single names. But I do want to kick it off with the 2-year. I know a lot of people like to quote the 10-year. We'll get to that in a second. But, yeah, Brendan, we got up to 3.5% right before that last Fed rate hike. They hiked 75 basis points. Going into that hike, everyone's saying, oh, man, they're going to need to get up to 4% or even higher by the end of 2022. A lot of those projections taken out. And just last week, we were saying, are rates going to get back to 3.5% where they peaked prior to that 75 bip hike? Now, are they going to get back to 3% even? Another 10 to 20 basis points taken out of the yield curve, depending on where you're looking. A decent bounce here going into the close in rates, but now I'm questioning if 3% can even hold by the end of the year. And I know projections are still seeing the Fed hiking by, another 50 basis points likely at the next FOMC meeting, 50 to 75 basis points, and then maybe another, 50 basis points or so by the end of the year. But at some point, if we continue to see this downside, Brendan, in the treasuries to the tune of 2.5% or 2% even, which, given this price action, you could see in the coming weeks here, the Fed might have to slow up because we're inverted in some parts of the curve. And if we go even deeper into some of these inversions, that could cause some chaos for the stock market and other parts of the entire economy here. And speaking of that inversion, I do want to not only highlight the downside here in the 2-year, what's really been interesting to me, and what I think is one of the opportunities going forward for the second half of this year is the yield curve. I know if you've seen me before, I sound like a broken record talking about inversions and pairs trades in the yield curve and everything else, but this is really odd to me because you see here in the 10-year to 2-year spread, the TUD spread, if you will, you're looking at the difference between a 10-year interest rate and a 2-year interest rate. And that difference to start the year around 1%. As 2 years rallied, this difference came back to zero. A flat yield curve actually went inverted for a little bit there in the spring, as you can see, breaking through that 0% difference in rates. Now with rates coming off, Brendan, I would have expected this curve spread to be bouncing back. I would have expected 2 years, they rally for the first half of the year, the yield curve goes flat, 2 years come off, we should see some steepening, right? We haven't seen it yet. We're actually still just within about 5 basis points of difference between 2-year debt and 10-year debt. Very, very flat, still toying with an inversion. And I think this is a really, really nice opportunity moving forward because rates are in a little bit of no man's land. But if rates come off, I would expect this curve to normalize a little bit. And even if rates stick higher, this curve has to normalize a little bit. We don't stick to 0% difference or inversion, Brendan, for more than a few months at a time, at least historically, in the data I've seen going back the last 20, 30 years.
These markets are obviously, Frank, everyone knows, forward-looking. So what does it mean overall? I mean, the next CPI reading going to come up here in a couple of weeks in July. If that shows, I don't know, any kind of sign of, inflation even slowing at this point, I mean, some of these could just explode.
Well, that's really interesting that you bring that up because I love to harp on the fact that these futures markets, they are projections, right? And especially when you're talking about interest rates, and we can go back to showing people that 2-year charts just to show how volatile these projections are. And that's where the opportunity is, right? If everything was priced in perfectly what the Fed is going to do, there'd be no opportunity for us to trade around. But as you can see here, we've gone, Brendan, in between the last, call it 3 weeks, since that last FOMC meeting, they've gone from projecting 3.5% in short-term rates to under 3%, and these projections can continue to move here. The Fed, everybody keep in mind, the Fed is only at 1.5%. And so if inflation slows by even more, and there are some headwinds against hiking rates, the Fed isn't up to 2% yet. They're not up to 3% yet. They don't have to hike all the way up to where the futures market is projecting. Quite the opposite. We've seen the futures market coming down to where they're currently at. So it'll be really, really interesting, a really nice market for people wanting to take either the other side, that this inflation, we've seen the peak in these fears, we've seen the peak in interest rates, and you want to bet against that. Or if you were waiting for a little bit of a dip to buy in rates, man, you have it with 2s and 10s below 3% here. If you think those inflation fears are going to kick back up and the Fed is going to get beyond 3% by the end of the year, you're getting some great prices to buy rates as well. But I'm super happy that you hit that, Brendan, that these are projections, right? The Fed is still just at 1.5%. They haven't even gotten to 2% yet. And so the volatility here, the price action, making for a ton of opportunities to get on both sides. But yeah, I do want to again point out that 10-year to 2-year trade, at some point it's going to go. And I don't know if it's this month, here in July, or the fall, or next year, but at some point that curve will normalize, and you'll see that inversion, the difference of 5 basis points turn to 100 basis points, a more normal curve, and that opportunity won't come up again for several years likely.
And that's the key here, right? These are not normal conditions that we're seeing, especially in this type of environment. So definitely worth a watch going forward. I wanted to get your thoughts on, back earlier in the week, we had that ECB forum with all of the heads of the central banks speaking, including Fed Chair Powell, who, in my opinion, was using a lot more stronger language than he had over the past couple of times he had appeared on camera when it comes to how they were going to approach this. So it's almost as if, he's doing a pretty good job in talking down this market a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a balance game with these recent Fed chair people yelling how, I don't envy their job at all. Although it would be nice after they get out of that gig, they go on these speaking tours, Brennan. They make millions. It's really nice. But I do not envy the line that they have to toe here, but they're really, really good at it. And that's why I love getting on the other side of these extremes, why historically it's been really profitable to buy rates when they're at zero and everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're going negative. The Fed is really good at balancing language when we're down at zero. They're really good at balancing language when we're up at highs in interest rates as well. And that's why you see me lean into these extremes, is because I'm leaning on that historical data. The fact that when we were up at 3.5%, I showed you in the audience here, we haven't been to these highs since 2007, 2008, more than a decade. But also, when they see these things get out of line and they see wonkiness in the yield curve, in the stock market, and everything else, they don't want to shock anybody. Actually, their primary job is to not shock the economy, and so that's another vote of confidence to go against some of these extremes. And that brings up one of the extremes still left on the board. I'm actually kind of surprised. You've got stocks, bouncing back a little bit. You've got interest rates coming off of their highs. U.S. dollar is just right back at those extremes after a little bit of a head fake. And I was on with you, I believe it was last week, Brendan, and I thought that it was over for this U.S. dollar. I thought they made another run at the highs, and when they came off those highs, that was it. Right back there to end the week. Now, a little bit of reversal going into the weekend, given this morning's price action, but you're still seeing, in the SFX futures, we're still at prices north of 163. We've only been there a handful of times. And when you look at the euro, I want to put the spotlight on that market. We're under a buck and a nickel here to end the weekend. These are lows that we haven't seen since 2002, and quickly approaching that parity that we haven't seen between the euro and the US dollar since 2002. Not only are we approaching that, Brennan, but I do have some odds that we break parity by 2023. By the end of this year, options market's saying about a 22% chance that the euro gets down to $1 here, which will be really, really interesting. Now, you'll remember...
Companheiro, uma boa notícia para todos. Bolsonaro acabou de assinar a aposentadoria por impotência sexual. Você já pode dar entrada, entendeu? Vai no perito e já pode se aposentar. Olha só que coisa legal.
Coming out of Brexit, you see that huge dip in 2015 and 2016 when we toyed around with these levels last. I was in there selling the $1 puts, and I'm probably in there doing the same thing on a week like this because, again, like to go against some of that, use that historical data to go against some of these outliers, some of these extremes. But, I mean, these are some of the highest odds we've seen in Euro USD parity going back the last couple of decades here. The last time we were at $1 per euro was mid-2002. So I don't know if you think we're going to get there or not. I'm betting against it, but the market thinking there's almost a quarter of a chance that we get down there by just the end of this year, the second half of 2022, 22% chance we get down there. What say you, Brennan?
It's interesting in the sense that, we've seen a lot less certainty, I guess, when it comes to the speech coming out of the ECB and coming out of even, the Bank of England. So it makes a little bit more sense, right, that there's not as much strength coming through as far as the euro is concerned. But also have to plan a trip to Europe maybe this summer, because that is definitely becoming worthwhile again, outside of plane tickets anyways. Let's talk metals here to wrap things up quickly, Frank, because we've seen some volatility return to some of these markets specifically. I noticed that gold did, as we're saying, some of these currencies catching a bounce. Gold did catch a bounce going into the close here on a Friday afternoon as well. But very negative week. I mean, we're right back into that range again for some of these anyways.
Yeah, I think the move in silver really sneaking up on people, and some of you out there may not have even noticed that we're under $20 in silver for the first time since the pandemic kicked in here. Fresh lows in metals. But to your point, bouncing back, and it makes sense that they're bouncing back. Actually, I should have taken out a loan to put some money behind the fact that rates lower this morning and metals getting absolutely hammered. These markets have been moving inversely for the last several months, years even, given that, a lower interest rate environment should boost a little bit of this, flight to quality asset that's non-interest bearing. And so, yeah, you're seeing a bounce back actually in rates and metals, just wonkiness all over the different asset classes here. But an interesting one to point out, I feel a little bit less confident in the long metals position. I've got some short puts in our spree markets there, which combines gold and silver. To your point, gold is actually green on the day, so really becoming a silver move. Similar to that equities idea, Brendan, though, we'll see if rates continue to fall off next week. We've got the FOMC minutes on Wednesday. We've got non-farm on Friday. If some of those data releases work rates down lower, then we should see a little bit of lift in equities and metals, given that all the upside the first half of the year in rates coincided with downside in metals and downside in equities. I would expect a little bit of a reversal. If anything, maybe a little bit of a hedged play. If you're buying rates here, buying some metals with either the spree, or if you want to go to silver, the real beat up precious metal, a little bit of a hedged play in there. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if rates fall down closer to 2.5%. I would expect some more bounce from stocks and the metals here that, are pretty beat up.
A lot more to come, obviously, heading into July. We get, again, the next CPI reading. We get the next FOMC meeting coming up in a couple of weeks here. So plenty of action to come, as always. Frank, have a wonderful 4th of July. Enjoy your long weekend. We will speak again next week.
Thanks so much, Brendan.
I think one thing to consider always is, silver is going down and it's been pretty weak, but at least when you invest in it, you have the utility of if werewolves become a thing, you have vampires, right? Like that's just an investment that you've got to make just in case the worst happens there, and then you're good to go. So I mean, I got my silver bullets ready. We're saying actually that trade has been killing people, and it's just. You think that maybe you're going to get that safe haven and whatnot, and it's really it's been crushing on breaking a lot of backs. And speaking of breaking backs, the shorts right now, like Micron's been okay. I actually got a first leg out, so I shouldn't complain about it on 54. I'm showing you guys the ES. This is today's high on the ES, 38.17. We just ticked above that, but remember, the double top from yesterday is about 5 points higher. So you might have one of those fail break situations. I know I said 3,800, and we had that failure at 3,800 yesterday, which was pretty epic going into the close. But now you have a chance for the fail at the top. And the first thing I went over to was Meta, just below 160, which it should say. And it had this little curl here off 159.60, so I grabbed a couple times in short. I scalped some out because this market looks strong. But if we are going to pull back from that double top, I think I got an equity that might make some sense below a resistance level. Micron went all the way up, just it barely missed 54, like 53.90, I think we got to. I grabbed the 80s here. I took some out at 1-to-1, risk reward, a little better than that actually, down at 60. And then we're going to see if we can get some more shares off 53. I did not mention this, and apologies. I am still in Mullen. Maybe I did say it, but I'm getting back on the offer. This is now really barcoding, like what it was doing in the afternoon the other day. But it's been essentially, since it broke $1, it's been free money. It hasn't retested a box, so we're just long evens, long O2s, O1s, and some O2s, and then just sort of holding out that it goes back to 110. It was a short this morning, below $1 at 98, and then I was like, if it breaks this monster buyer all pre-market at 95, I'm like, it's headed to 90. I did reload a short, which was probably a mistake here. I didn't need to do that. Took an unnecessary hit, shorting it from 98 into $1, but then you just reverse it once it goes to $1. Very simplistic trading. around that dollar level on these penny stocks, right? Trying not to get too complicated about it. I just go short in front of that dollar, and then if it shows me strength, I just buy in front of the dollar with the stop right below. Easy peasy. It's kind of easy to be disciplined with something like that, because if you can't figure out where your stop is at a buck on a penny stock, then you shouldn't be trading.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thanks, Neil, for all that as well. I like that silver thing. I'm definitely going to. My father-in-law gave my kids silver coins. So we have a couple of those in the house right now. So he was always like, so I'll just throw those at the vampires and stuff like that. Anyways, I did want to go over one thing here, and don't lose sight of what we're doing here. It's a long weekend. It's already started here in Canada. You guys or anybody that's happy 4th to everybody, as we're not going to be on Monday. So I just wanted to remind everybody that when you're seeing, and I'm sure I can speak for Neil here as well, but these are not max positions or anything like that. Right now, a lot of the traders here that would maybe be, looking at some of these names and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you can pay. There's even behind us now, because it's Canada Day, there's 5 traders, and I think they're all gone now. So there's 3 or 4. I see Lucas sitting there. I don't even know where Pratt is. But all these guys here behind us, taking breaks, relaxing. There may be some volume coming through at, what did he say?
Sharif left early.
They all left early. Oh, God. So the bodyguard's not here. So if you want to come in as per Tony, you just walk in here. Anyways, the idea there is, AMD's right back to this level.
Let's go. Come on.
We're going to try to get to the downside. Cancel that. All right. Out on AMD right there. We did get out on that breakthrough 74, but we did reshort this, and we're taking some money back in now on AMD. And then a quick little update on Apple, and I'm gonna finish what I talked about in a second. Apple breaking through 138. We're gonna get out of that one as well, as you're back down to the 50 period moving average now on that one. So we'll take $1.50 on Apple if it breaks. We are now 40 cents in the money on AMD, as that's coming back in for us. So all is well on the AMD front. And what I was saying about the volumes, that's what it was. Hello, volumes. Apple breaks, so we're out of Apple right there. So a good, we'll go money, because Apple was a big trade for us there. We were able to hold it all the way for that $1.50 off some of these bottoms, so that was good there. We got nervous. We had so many shares, we got nervous. We started getting out for flat and even some 10-cent hits there. But you hold a little bit to make up for it at the end of the day there. And AMD started to crank lower as well, so that's good. Right down to VWAP. I'm not going to get out of this one. You're breaking on the 50 period. Let's see if AMD can remain weak. I don't know. Are you still in Micron?
I'm still in Micron.
Okay,
I'm actually on the bid here trying to get a little bit more out.
Okay, so that's good. But what I was getting at there again was just, I was a little bit bears versus bulls. Frank's great, but I always want to get back on and discuss my position. So you are right about that, bears versus bulls. Good call on that. But long story short, volumes. So, take the moves when they're there. That's why we're starting to get out a little bit. We still have 60% of the AMD trade on, as it's now 50 cents. Why couldn't this happen when I just have more shares? But that's always the case, and that's what I'm talking about going into this weekend. Just be light on everything. Hopefully you can enjoy the weekend, but, don't ruin everything by putting on a big trade that doesn't work out.
Exactly. You want to make sure that you are feeding yourself. And I'm only hitting that one because the winner chicken dinner makes sense, because I had Subway because I felt like being a little bit. We usually get a catered lunch, and stay on Canadian holidays, so we don't get it. So I got Subway. I wanted to be a little bit healthy, and then Sean gets this delicious looking chicken sandwich that I had to just sit here. Super chicken. Like, it was killing me, man. I'm like, it was so good. So the winner chicken dinner. Just got some out on Meta, like Sean said. Scalp these positions. Yes, we rejected that double top, but it's still a pretty strong bullish move to end this day here. So both Micron and MU. I just took some. Oh, wait a minute. No, I didn't get to fill yet on Micron. Kind of on the bid here. I'm like, pay yourself at this particular time, because I kind of feel like you don't want to get caught where you were in the money on this pullback and then you took absolutely nothing out. Next thing you know, we're running back to the high at 350 or 330 or whatever potentially happens, and then you're kicking yourself. But I did want to check in on one name, and I thank you guys for bringing this one to my attention. I was hoping to.
Abrindo esse mês de julho, agora, dia 1º de julho, a eleição tá chegando, hein? Lula diz que, se eleito, revogará decretos de Bolsonaro sobre sigilo de 100 anos no primeiro dia de governo. Esses sigilos que o Bolsonaro decreta de 100 anos sobre absolutamente tudo é uma vergonha total, né? Esconde roubalheira e tal. Eu vou mostrar um vídeo que viralizou nas redes que falam um pouco sobre isso.
Esse governo é tão corrupto que o primeiro documento que tem 100 anos de sigilo é o coquetel da posse. A lista dos convidados do coquetel da posse tem 100 anos de sigilo. Todas as vezes que os pastores corruptos estiveram no Palácio do Planalto, 100 anos de sigilo. Os documentos que envolvem o inquérito administrativo do Pazuello, 100 anos de sigilo. O cartão de vacinação do presidente da República e dos familiares, 100 anos de sigilo. Os documentos relativos à matrícula da filha no Colégio Militar de Brasília, 100 anos de sigilo. Os documentos que embasaram os estudos da reforma administrativa, 100 anos de sigilo. Quantas vezes o advogado Acef e lobistas de armas entraram no Palácio do Planalto? 100 anos de sigilo. Os documentos relativos aos escândalos da compra das vacinas, 100 anos de sigilo. Documentos relativos à viagem à Rússia e à Hungria, 100 anos de sigilo. Documentos relativos a Itamaraty envolvendo negociações para libertar um médico bolsonarista preso no Egito, 100 anos de sigilo. Acesso à sala cofre do Enem, 100 anos de sigilo.
Bem, pessoal, partindo para o noticiário de hoje, né? Dólar atinge maior valor em 5 meses após Senado aprovar PEC Kamikaze. Pacote de medidas eleitoreiras de Bolsonaro já supera 343 bilhões de reais. O jornal o Globo fez uma lista completa de como se chegou nesse número de 343 bilhões de reais para tentar comprar a reeleição do Bolsonaro. Aqui eles explicam item por item, né? O primeiro aumento do Auxílio Brasil, né, de 200 para 400 reais em janeiro desse ano. Agora esse aumento do desespero, né, o aumento de 400 para 600. O primeiro auxílio gás, que é de janeiro ou fevereiro. Agora essa ampliação do auxílio gás, que ao invés de 60 reais a cada 2 meses, agora vai ser todo mês. Esse Pix caminhoneiro aí, que é R$1.000, né, de auxílio por mês para os caminhoneiros. Enfim, uma série de medidas, né, que o Bolsonaro foi tomando no desespero durante esse ano eleitoral para tentar ganhar a eleição. E a Globo soltou uma opinião oficial aqui no jornal o Globo, um editorial, tá? PEC aprovada no Senado afronta a democracia. Proposta que segue para a Câmara fere equilíbrio eleitoral, tem impacto fiscal deletério e cria precedente perigoso. E realmente, né, essa questão do precedente, essa história que o Bolsonaro está criando, esses benefícios, né, quase que distribuição de dinheiro em boca de urna, uma coisa. Então significa que qualquer governo que tiver uma maioria no parlamento consegue então fazer compra de votos com dinheiro público, né? Mudando até a Constituição para não ser responsabilizado. Então é uma coisa, é um precedente que fica, e se o Bolsonaro ganhar essa eleição por causa desse pacote, o efeito para o Brasil é devastador. E pessoal, sempre que eu coloco aí opinião da Globo, editorial da Globo, opinião lá do Jornal Nacional, tem gente que fala, mas isso aí não tem relevância. Tem relevância, sim, muita relevância. É por isso que eu coloco, inclusive. Você olha, por exemplo, a audiência ontem, dia 30 de junho, às 21 horas e 17 minutos. Vejam aqui que a audiência da Globo é maior do que de todas as outras emissoras juntas. E é muito maior, não é? É o dobro, o triplo. Então, percebam que não é só no Rio de Janeiro, né? Em São Paulo, Porto Alegre. Olha a diferença em Porto Alegre, no Distrito Federal, tá em todo, é o país inteiro. Assim. Então, essa diferença é muito grande. É um poder de formação, de opinião muito grande. Bem, para a gente fechar esse vídeo, pessoal, eu termino aqui com uma declaração importante do Lula também. O que quero com o Geraldo Alckmin é recuperar o país, deixar preparado, gerar emprego, combater a fome para recuperar a nação. Não vou ser presidente que vai pensar na reeleição. Quero dar 4 anos da minha vida para esse país e depois mais gente mais nova disputa a eleição. Ou seja, estou declarando aí que não vai disputar a reeleição. Ele também já estaria muito idoso, né? Imagina, em 2026 ele já teria 81 anos, se eu não me engano. Então também teria que ver até a condição física dele de disputar uma eleição com 81 anos. Mas de qualquer forma ele está dizendo aqui que não vai disputar. Bem, e saiu o Datafolha hoje só para São Paulo, tá? A coleta foi entre os dias 28 e 30 de junho, Lula 43, Bolsonaro 30, Ciro 8 e tal. Isso aqui é devastador para o Bolsonaro, tá? Porque normalmente, né, o PT ganha com uma lavada no Nordeste e São Paulo, que tem uma população enorme, né, 50 milhões de habitantes praticamente, entrava contrabalanceando a população do Nordeste, né? Dando uma derrota acachapante para o PT. E aí esses dois dados se equilibravam, né? Ou seja, Nordeste pro PT, São Paulo anti-PT, e o que decidia as eleições era o restante do país, mas com destaque especial para Minas Gerais e Rio de Janeiro. Né? Tanto é que Minas Gerais sempre decidiu as eleições, que quem ganhou em Minas sempre ganhou a eleição do país. Então, o Bozo levar uma surra dessa em São Paulo se tivesse empatado em São Paulo, estaria muito ruim para ele. Tá? Agora, ele perdendo dessa forma, ele elimina qualquer chance no momento, né, dele vencer. Outra coisa, essa pesquisa não tem uma comparação anterior, porque a última pesquisa específica para São Paulo foi em dezembro, dia 16 de dezembro, e lá mostrava o Lula com 40 pontos, mas em um cenário que tinha o Sérgio Moro ainda. Né? Nesse cenário, o Bolsonaro tinha 24. Então, o Bolsonaro, digamos assim, ganhou 6 pontos com a saída do Moro, o Lula subiu 3. Tá? Então, essa que é a situação comparada com o dia 16 de dezembro. É isso, pessoal. Fecha esse vídeo agora. A gente volta mais tarde com mais um vídeo para a página.
Uma apuração do sobrinho do presidente Jair Bolsonaro, o Léo Índio, o Leonardo Rodrigues de Jesus. Ele foi exonerado do cargo de assessor da liderança do PL, que é o partido do presidente Bolsonaro, lá no Senado nessa semana. E essa demissão aconteceu justamente porque a própria Juliana divulgou no último domingo que ele não aparecia no Senado, nos horários de expediente, desde a primeira semana de março. Ele estava lotado nessa função desde dezembro de 2021, e aí não aparecia lá. Na página de transparência do Senado diz que a situação dele consta como desligado. Ele é sobrinho do presidente Bolsonaro, primo de Flávio, de Carlos, de Eduardo, e o cargo de Léo Índio no Senado era de auxiliar administrativo, salário de R$ 5.735. Bom, quem vai contar essa história pra gente é a própria Juliana Dalpiva, comigo, ao vivo, aqui no All News. Olá, Ju. Boa tarde.
Oi, Fabiola.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Só mulheres hoje aqui, ó.
Eu tava ouvindo você aqui, é uma delay. Prazer estar aqui contigo. Boa tarde para todo mundo que está acompanhando a gente. Infelizmente é recorrente, né, Fabiola, a gente falar sobre essa situação de problemas de assessores parlamentares que envolvem a família Bolsonaro e que muitas vezes, como é esse caso, pertencem à própria família, né? O Leonardo Rodrigues de Jesus, conhecido como Léo Índio, é um apelido de família, mas que ele próprio usa em redes sociais. Ele é filho, sobrinho da primeira mulher de Jair Bolsonaro, a Rogéria, mas ele é sobrinho do Bolsonaro, né? Ele é um pouco próximo da família, dos 3 primeiros filhos do presidente, os filhos parlamentares. Ele tinha um cargo na liderança do PL desde dezembro até agora. Antes disso, ele também tinha sido do gabinete daquele senador Chico Rodrigues, que foi preso com dinheiro na cueca, acho que o pessoal vai lembrar disso também. E mais recentemente ele estava nesse gabinete da liderança do PL, que é o partido do presidente Jair Bolsonaro, né? O que me contaram ali, servidores do Senado, na última semana passada, foi que o Léo não aparecia para trabalhar desde a primeira semana de março. E aí até procurei ali, da equipe da liderança, eles falaram que em função da Covid, não está permitido, né, o home office, e enfim, ele não ia, mas, né, estaria representando, mas o que me relataram os servidores do Senado é que ele não participava, não atuava, efetivamente não estava ali exercendo as funções de assessor parlamentar da liderança. O Léo também tem, Fabiola, assim, né, um histórico, que eu acho que é importante a gente lembrar aqui. Antes, ele tinha sido, entre fim dos anos 2000, 2008, se não me engano, até 2012, assessor do agora senador Flávio, mas na época que ele era deputado estadual, lá na Alerj. Por isso, ele também consta do rol de quebra de sigilo, da investigação de rachadinha do gabinete do Flávio nessa época, lá no Rio de Janeiro. E no ano passado a gente fez uma extensa investigação, eu e a equipe do núcleo investigativo do UOL, e a gente achou na quebra bancária do Léo que a chefe de gabinete do Flávio pagava o aluguel dele. A gente procurou o Léo naquela época para ver se ele falava alguma coisa sobre isso, ele nunca respondeu nada. Hoje mesmo eu questionei ele sobre isso, porque a gente publicou, e aí depois que a gente tinha publicado, até então ele nunca respondia nada do que era questionado. Ele veio dizer que essa exoneração recente dessa semana tem a ver com o fato de que ele quer disputar uma vaga a deputado distrital no Distrito Federal agora nas eleições. Mas sobre a questão da chefe de gabinete, sobre o fato dele não aparecer para trabalhar, isso ele não falou nada, viu, Fábio?
Um monte de coisa lá, é bem interessante. Tem as meias que Deilson usa. Deilson Leite vem com as meias de Gzinho, assim, da Genial. Tem lá, tem muita coisa, tá? Motinha Christian pergunta: Mota, agora com a PEC da bondade aprovada e liberação de dinheiro para as pessoas, aquela conversa de redução de até 2% do IPCA caiu por terra, ainda teremos redução do ICMS e cortes de impostos?
Eu não tenho de cabeça, Christian, mas eu acho que ainda tem sim, esses 2% daquela inflação desse ano vai ter sim, inclusive está até relativamente bem precificado isso, tá, Christian? Eu acho que o principal ponto que eu acho que já deu para emendar com vocês, o fato da gente ter aprovado essa PEC da bondade, lá, os 41 pontos, era 38, já foi para 41.300, mostra, infelizmente, uma fraqueza das nossas instituições, tá? E essa loucura só vai acabar dia 15 de julho, quando o parlamento, quando o Congresso entrar em recesso. Lembrando, antes de entrar em recesso, o Congresso tem que enviar a LDO de 2023. Ou seja, ainda tem espaço para novos riscos, novas surpresas desagradáveis em relação às nossas contas públicas. Tá? Então, eu não vejo motivo ainda nenhum para a gente ficar tranquilo, tipo aquela coisa que o Mota sempre falou, o Felipe falou: o mercado não tem medo de coisa ruim, tem medo de escuridão. A coisa ruim veio, não veio ruim não, veio péssimo, uma fraqueza das nossas instituições. Só que enquanto o Congresso não enviar a LDO para poder sair de férias, as surpresas estão sempre em aberto, tá? É risco total. É aquilo que eu tenho que recolher minha humildade e falar para vocês. De macro, eu me esforço, tá? Talvez eu entenda um pouquinho, mas de política eu não entendo absolutamente nada. E o fato o Brasil está com os ativos locais com muito prêmio de risco embutido, tá? Serviços de papéis especiais, quem diria? IPCA mais 6 de 10, isso é surreal. Pré-fixada 14, 15, bolsa abaixo de 100 mil. Tem muita coisa barata, mas o Brasil daqui a pouco vai ter que conversar seriamente sobre as suas contas fiscais. Fazer uma conta simples, senhores. Imagine você, sua família, você tem 75% do seu patrimônio em dívida e você está pagando para rolar essa dívida, inflação mais 6 e seu rendimento, sua receita cresce no mais 2, 3% ao ano. Quanto tempo você quebra? Tá? Enquanto o Brasil não conversar seriamente sobre isso, é difícil o mercado se animar. Tá? Então, o que eu quero passar para vocês: o Brasil está barato, tem muita coisa barata assim. O Brasil já se jogou do penhasco? Não. O Brasil vai se jogar do penhasco? Tomara que não. Só que os investidores estão cada vez mais assustados com o nível de criatividade e, principalmente, o nível de falta de respeito às nossas contas públicas. Tá? Tudo começou no passado, quando estouramos o teto dos gastos, tudo começou com 30 bi para poder pagar os R$400 e acabou em 100 e poucos bi. Tá? Tudo começou com 30 bi na PEC dos combustíveis e virou 41 mais 17 de isenção, 70 pau, 70 bi. Tá? Então, de novo, eu acho que os próximos 3 meses vão ser 3 meses muito barulhentos, pesquisa A, pesquisa B, o cara falou A, falou B. Enquanto não se aproximar e os dois candidatos tiverem algum tipo de motivação para explicar qual vai ser o seu plano, a sua opinião, o seu plano em relação às questões fiscais do Brasil, eu não vejo razão para se animar com o Brasil. Eu prefiro pagar caro, depois de ter um pouco mais de informação, do que tentar ser o herói de comprar bolsa agora, ou comprar... O Brasil ainda tem muita coisa escura, tem muita coisa, tem muita falta de visibilidade. Eu reconheço, muita coisa está no preço. De novo, qual é o país do mundo que paga a inflação mais 110? Olha os múltiplos das empresas brasileiras. Está barata de graça. Mas será que o Brasil... O que o Brasil vai ser ano que vem? Qual a opção que o Brasil vai ter? Ninguém sabe isso. O que aconteceu esse mês, essa semana aí para mim, foi realmente um motivo de tristeza enorme como cidadão brasileiro.
É isso aí, Motinha. Gente, seguinte, já que o Motinho está falando aqui dessas questões fiscais, a gente fez hoje uma entrevista no programa Conversa com o Zé Márcio. O Zé conversou com a Helena Landau, que é coordenadora do programa econômico da Simone Tebet. E a Helena é uma liberal histórica aqui do Brasil, uma pessoa, ela já foi presidente do BNDES, uma pessoa muito engajada e muito boa. A entrevista foi bem interessante. Você já colocou aí o link? Já, o Deilson já colocou o link aí para vocês, tá? Darem uma olhadinha na entrevista do Zé Márcio com a Helena Landau. Seguinte, Bruno Bandeira, o Ben fez uma pergunta aqui para você, ó. Bandeira, você não acha que as moedas digitais a serem criadas pelos bancos centrais vão afetar as criptomoedas?
Eu acho que depende da regulação que foi estabelecida em relação às stablecoins especificamente. Porque qual que é o objetivo das moedas dos bancos centrais? É tentar fazer com que você leve alguns benefícios das criptomoedas para as moedas fiduciárias e chegue no meio
que é o positivo no
simulador.
simulador.
A exemplo do que está acontecendo agora com o stablecoin, é necessário. Você tem o lado de que tem emissor sem ter lastro para stablecoins, você tem stablecoins algorítmicas entrando em colapso, você tem alguns problemas nesse mercado que realmente são advindos de falta de regulação. Na outra ponta, você
50,
tem muitas
40,
pessoas que querem ter exposição a um determinado ativo com menos observância da parte governamental
30,
e as moedas de bancos centrais, elas visam justamente trazer a observância para esse universo das moedas digitais. Então, o que eu acredito depende muito de como o regulador vai tratar as stablecoins. Deixando as stablecoins da forma que estão, pouca regulação, pouca observância,
não pesou a mão.
Eu acho muito difícil que elas percam competitividade, porque são instrumentos muito positivos. Eu já vi, inclusive, algumas propostas de banco central
para desmontar e destruir o discurso do governo de que o Brasil está bem, de que o Brasil está decolando, de que o Brasil está melhor do que, enfim, todos os outros países que são pares do Brasil e economias parecidas, que o Brasil saiu antes de todo mundo da crise, que o Brasil está gerando emprego, que o Brasil já está muito melhor do que estava antes da pandemia. Então eu queria deixar só uma pergunta para o senhor Paulo Guedes responder. Só uma pergunta para o senhor Bolsonaro ou seus filhos, cada um responde, uma vez vocês fazem um rodízio de quem é que responde a pergunta. Os 4 são presidentes da República, né? Você e seus 3 filhos mais velhos, não é isso? Então uma pergunta fácil, mas bota os teus ministros também, bota os secretários, bota o Lira, bota todo mundo que te apoia. Põe o Aras, que faz parte do governo. Ah, não, o Aras é procurador-geral, eu sempre confundo, eu acho que ele faz parte do governo, eu esqueço que ele é procurador-geral. Põe a sua turminha toda, Bolsonaro, para responder a seguinte pergunta. Pergunta simples também, que é a seguinte. Como é que um governo que tem a economia sob controle, como é que um governo que já está decolando de volta, como é que um governo que fez o país ser o primeiro a sair da crise e agiu antes de todo mundo,
falou.
como é que um governo que está anunciando que estamos gerando vários empregos e a situação já está muito melhor do que antes da pandemia, declara